Yes, great. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. And great to be part of this seminar today. And thank you for the opportunity to talk on behalf of Vopak and to share with you what we are doing in the different areas of our developments and the projects that we do. But let me start with saying a few things on Vopak. We are a company that's already 406 years old. It's already quite a long time. And what we're doing is that we are storing liquid bulk, so liquid products, chemicals, oils, gases, and in the future also other products. And that's what I would like to talk to you about today. Because in the today's systems, we are connecting the demand and supply with each other, connecting the world, connecting the industries in the different regions, connecting the industries locally. And we also would like to do that going forward. So also setting up the new value chains going forward, that is something that we really like to do. And that can only be done in our mind by cooperating in the right way, cooperating with the right parties, with the right governments. So international and national cooperation is really critical to set up those new systems. So if we look at the energy transition, we see our role in different areas. We see our role in 4 focus areas. Of course, these 4 focus areas are beside the developments that we do on our own terminal to reduce our CO2 carbon emissions. But this is really the development of new infrastructure where we think that is needed to go forward and to make sure that we meet the climate change ambitions. So the 4 pillars for Vopak are hydrogen, CO2 infrastructure, low carbon fuels and feedstocks, and long duration energy storage. And let me take you through those 4 pillars in the next couple of minutes. For us, the most important one of the 4 is hydrogen. It was mentioned already a few times today that hydrogen will play an important role in the energy systems of the future. And we strongly believe in that as well. It is hydrogen hydrogen production is already happening in the industrial areas, in the industrial zones, and it will only continue to be more important going forward. So local production will be very important. The presentation of Neptune by René just now, I think, showed that as well. But also the international flows. So we strongly believe that production of green hydrogen in those areas where the sun is shining very strongly, the wind is blowing very hard, to produce locally there green electricity, green hydrogen, and then carry that to the demand areas where we really need more and more energy. And we see actually 3 different ways to do that. So the 3 different carriers we're focusing on are liquid organic hydrogen carriers, ammonia, and liquid hydrogen. And those 3 different ways to transport hydrogen are all 3 important. And we believe that it's too early to make a choice. And we believe that all 3 have a role to play in the future energy systems. So if I look at the liquid organic hydrogen carrier, it's a very easy way and a very safe way to transport hydrogen. You connect the hydrogen to a carrier, an oil type of product, and you can bring it easily from A to B. You can reuse a lot of the existing infrastructure, which makes it very easy to step in and to execute. The thing that we have to scale up, and that's why you see that we are working on a first scale up project on LOHC. It's called Puffin here in the port of Rotterdam, together with the supply coming from Germany to scale up further that LOHC technology. Because it's still smaller scale and we really need to go from a few tons per day to 100 tons per day as soon as possible to make it a viable option. The second option we see here is ammonia. Ammonia is an easy way to transport hydrogen. It's a known way. We have already 7 terminals around the world where we store ammonia, so we know how the product works. We know the risks that are associated with ammonia. It's not an easy product to handle, but if you do it in the right way in industrial zones, then it's a very good way to transport hydrogen. The only element that still has to be developed is the cracking back of ammonia back to hydrogen. And that is something that needs to develop further. And we are also working on that to make it happen at large scale. But we see this as a first solution really going forward and a very important one. And the third and last but not least is liquid hydrogen, to liquefy hydrogen really down to minus 253 degrees Celsius, which is extremely cold and requires a lot of energy, but it's in the area where the energy is cheap. And then to transport as a liquid product into the markets where you really need it. That's what we see that will be one of the solutions also going forward. And in our mind, it will probably take a bit longer to have all the innovations ready to make sure that we cover all the elements in that new supply chain. And we think that it will be the last one to really succeed. But the first one is the ammonia developments. We see that also within the Hydrogen Council, that a lot of the developments around the world on hydrogen are focusing on ammonia, because it's a known product and a lot of the infrastructure is already there. And it's the matter of realizing projects and really executing them. And this is an example of a project we're doing in the port of Rotterdam, together with GasUnie, the TSO of the Netherlands, and Hess International, also a storage company, both in liquid and dry bulk. And we're doing it together. We're using the land of Hess. They have a piece of land where they store coal that they want to convert. We reuse the LNG gas tanks of GasUnie and turn them into ammonia storage. And we use our experience as well in storing and handling ammonia. So the cooperation with those three parties, we think, is very strong and very good. So the ammonia can come from all over the world, being imported into the Netherlands and then cracked, as you see here on the schematic view as well in the middle. There will be a cracker, and then pushing the hydrogen that's coming out of the cracker into the pipeline system. The second focus area I would like to share with you is the CO2 infrastructure. So CO2 can be captured easily at several processes in the industry, and then pushed into a pipeline, stored in the gas fields that are running empty. But also, if the port is further away from the gas fields, it's very good to build infrastructure to ship it to those areas. And again, that's where we come in. So we connect the supply and demand markets by having the right infrastructure both on the export and the import side of CO2, to make sure that also those first steps in decarbonization can happen in the different industrial areas. And we have a project in the port of Rotterdam here as well. It's called CO2 Next, where we really plan to have a terminal up and running in 2026 to be able to receive CO2 from the industrial areas around the port of Rotterdam, like Antwerp, like the German hinterland. The third element is the low carbon fuels and feedstocks, where a lot of the products we store already today, like biofuels, methanol, ammonia, are part of that. Also there we see a lot of developments to make them more renewable, to make them more sustainable, but also the plastic recycling we think is a key element. So really recycle the chemical products into new chemicals will be more and more important going forward. And we are planning to start our first pilot project here in the port of Rotterdam with a pyrolysis plant under the name of Cycle, where we can then produce pyrolysis oil coming from the existing plastic flows. And the fourth, last but not least, is the long duration energy storage. For us, it's mainly electricity storage. We think electricity storage will be crucial going forward and is a key element in the whole energy transition. And large-scale electricity storage is really necessary. And we, as a liquid bulk storage company, think that storing electricity in tanks, in large-scale facilities, using flow battery technology. So you have two tanks with different electrolytes, and you can actually change the content by, and that way storing a lot of electricity. That's really the way to scale up further the electricity storage and to play a role in the industrial zones in storing electricity as well. And those four come nicely together. If we look at the different industrial clusters that we are active in, so we are around the world. We have 78 terminals in 23 different countries. 10 of them are in the Netherlands, 7 of them are in China. So also for today, I think a nice connection we make between the two countries. And we really think that with the project I just described, from CO2 storage, from electricity storage, importing of green hydrogen in the different ways. We think that we can play an important role to make sure that the systems are decarbonized in the different industrial clusters. And those clusters can be in Northwest Europe, but also in China or in any part of the world. And we think we can play an important role in it. So thank you very much. I hope the message came across that we are doing already a lot on the energy transition today. And we want to keep storing the vital products with care, the vital products with care of today, but also in the future. Thank you very much.